Insiders at Silicon Valley Bank, speaking of, and other regionals selling more than $150 million in shares in the years and months leading up to last week's collapse of SVB. Robert Frank is here to discuss. Some of these sales are so-called scheduled sales, I assume, others opportunistic ones. Explain.
That's right. They just happen to be very well timed, many of them. So there was a lot of attention on this $3.6 million sale by the CEO of SVB, Greg Becker. And that was a sale that was less than 2 weeks before they made that announcement of their big loss, and then the bank collapsed. So then I said, well, let's figure out how much he sold over the total. So over the past 2 years, he has cashed out $30 million worth of stock sales. If you look at the company officers, it's over $84 million of stock sales over 2 years. So that's a lot.
Insiders selling there. I wonder what they did with those proceeds.
Some of them, they were buying options. So in the case of Becker, he was actually exercising options at a much lower price and then selling. The rest of it went into their bank accounts, which hopefully were insured.
Hopefully they kept them. They kept enough of them in different places and different titles. Is this a endemic to the regional banking sector? Have there been others that we know of who have been big sellers lately?
Yeah, Jim Herbert, the executive chairman of First Republic, sold about $28 million worth of shares over the past 2 years. But what's interesting about these sales, particularly that February sale, is it raises this whole question of what are known as 10b5-1 plans. These are pre-scheduled sales of stock. So the idea is if you've already scheduled it, you can't have been sold for insider information.
You can't be charged for insider information.
That's right. Okay. That's right. It's sort of a fig leaf.
Was that $3.2 million sale one of those scheduled sales?
It was. And what's interesting about it, he set it up on January 26th, and he sold on February 27th. So the question is, at the time when he set it up on January 26th, did he know there was a potential of a big loss? And this is what Gary Gensler of the SEC has really been talking about for a long time, which is that these programs have been abused. And so he started new rules, which under these new rules in the SEC, Becker's sales could not have happened because one of the new rules says there has to be at least a 90-day cooling off period between the time you start the sale and the time you actually sell. So he started January 26th. He sold February 27th. Under the new rule, he would have had to wait at least 2 more months to do that. And that prevents people from saying, oh, something's coming, I better sell. I'm going to start a scheduled program. I'm going to
schedule this for a month from now.
And sometimes people schedule it even for a week or two later. And so it's a one-off sale. So these new rules are designed more transparency and this cooling off period. And I'm sure either way they're going to look at this sale and say, what did he know on February 27th when he sold that?
And was he hiding under this umbrella of the scheduled sale rule?
That's right. That's right. And the SEC has already charged somebody who had a pre-scheduled sales program selling 20 million in shares before the stock plunged. So they've already filed a complaint against this. We'll see if they do more, maybe even in this case.
Because there's always that argument about democratize the information. OK, if you're an insider and you think a storm's coming and you want to sell your shares, do it. But let us see. That's the whole point of the disclosure. So you might go back and say, well, if people had been tracking these sales, they might have been tipped off earlier on that something was happening. Or wouldn't they have viewed it that way? Would they even have raised any red flags?
Well, and by the time you knew on February 27th, yes, you would have had some time to sell, but not a lot. You had less than 2 weeks, even if you knew that information, to then bail out. And a lot of people just weren't looking at it.
You know what came as a bit of a surprise to me, though maybe it shouldn't have. Congress people have the right, once they leave office, to earn a living, okay?
Yep.
Let's stipulate that.
Often a good one.
And a good one. In the case of Barney Frank, a member of the board of Signature Bank, I read that he has made during that time at that bank something in excess of $2.3 million.
Right, as
the author
for being on the board,
Frank.
right, and for potentially lobbying looser rules, all the rest of it. His involvement is absolutely. And listen, he's somebody who would say, well, I was one of the people who tried to raise the FDIC cap, and I tried to do all of these things that would have prevented this particular situation going back 5 or 10 years. But the issues there, especially with their crypto exposure, I think there are still questions.
It's interesting. Yeah. I'm sure he'll be on CNBC here over the next few days.
So.
Or Newsmax.
Yeah.
I think that's where he pops up.
Yeah.
Frank and Frank, we can have him back.
Yeah.
Frank and Frank. Frank squared.